right now, very pleased to have with us on the show, vlogger Kira Davis. Kira, how are you?
Hi, Kim. Good. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure.
So you took part in this Google Plus hangout with President Obama, and you actually got to ask him a question about gun control. We've got this clip. Can we go ahead and share it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's listen to this Google Plus hangout yesterday.
One of your solutions to keeping powerful weapons out of the hands of bad people is to propose a ban on so-called assault rifles. However, according to the FBI's own statistics, the majority of death by gun in this country is perpetrated by handguns. Right. Do you think we should ban handguns?
Well, I actually don't think we should ban handguns, but keep in mind that what we're trying to do is to come up with a package that protects Second Amendment rights, but also makes a meaningful difference in reducing violence. We're not going to eliminate it completely. And so the package that we put forward will have an impact on handguns by instituting a universal background check system to make sure that people can't, who shouldn't have any kind of gun, aren't able to go in and purchase them, whether they're at a gun show or in a store because somebody's not doing the checks that they need. We're talking about making sure that we crack down on straw purchasers, people who go into a store, buy a bunch of guns, and then turn around immediately and dump them in the hands of people who shouldn't get them. Those things will have an impact on handgun violence. When it comes to assault weapons and these high capacity magazine clips, the concern is, for example, in Aurora, when a young person can go into a theater and shoot off 100 rounds in less than a minute. The potential for large-scale fatalities are increased, and these are weapons of war. They're generally not used for hunting. They're not used for the kinds of things that we would think sportsmen or hunters or people who are just looking to protect their homes are trying to use them for. And so for us to restrict some of those high-capacity magazines and some of those weapons that really belong in the war theater, that probably can save some lives. It's not going to solve every problem, but it can be a meaningful part of an overall effort to reduce gun violence in our country.
All right, Kira, so much to talk about there. What did you think of the president's response?
It was a very political response. I knew that that's probably what he was going to say. And honestly, I think what he wanted to say was, yes, we should ban handguns. And that was, in my fantasies, that's what he would have said. Because I really do believe that that's the end game. And if you ban handguns, that's pretty much everything. So I had hoped that maybe he would be a little more honest. I know, naively. But, I mean, what he said was just, honestly, Kim, it was just nonsense. Even as you were playing that clip, I was drifting off.
Well, it is fascinating. I mean, the justification, when you asked him, and I thought it was a great question, why wouldn't you want to ban handguns? And he never really did give you an answer. He just said, well, I don't think we should.
He didn't answer anything yesterday.
But now I thought it was interesting when he got into the gun ban language. You got him to elaborate a little bit. Basically, the president said there's no legitimate purpose for these firearms. He said they're not generally used by hunters. They're not generally used by sportsmen. They're not even generally used by people who want to use them in self-defense. So, in essence, what the president is saying is there is no real reason why anybody would want to own one of the most commonly sold firearms in America today.
Well, yeah, and then his point kind of makes our point, which is, these are what he's trying to say. These are weapons that aren't generally used. Well, if they're not generally used, then maybe we don't generally need to worry about them. You know what I mean? These aren't the weapons we need to be worrying about, which was kind of the point of my question. The real issue with gun violence in this country is handguns. It's not these, as he calls them, assault-style weapons. It's handguns. So if you're really serious about solving this problem, that's what you would concentrate on. But they're not serious about it. It's political theater. It's a path to, I believe it's a path to dismantling the Second Amendment, and there's a process, and that's why no politician is going to come out and say, yes, let's ban handguns, even though some of them believe it. And I believe that Barack Obama is one of those people. But yeah, he danced around it, and I think he proved my point in the end, that basically what they're doing is pointless.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, look, you've got Vice President Biden saying, look, nothing we do is going to fundamentally alter the ability of these guys to commit these acts. The president himself said this is not going to, again, sort of sets up this straw man. Well, it's not going to, end violence entirely, but he can't say what it's going to do. He can't go to Chicago and talk about how great Chicago's gun laws have been for that city. And that's the bottom line. I think when the president makes these comments about how it's a new day on this issue and things are different now, and politicians, you can vote for these gun control bills and you're not going to suffer the political consequences. Kira, I honestly think beyond the gun owners themselves, there is a growing number of Americans who really have started thinking about this, and who say, yeah, it'd be great, but not, it's not really going to work. I mean, you look at these polls, and a lot of these laws get support. If you say, should we have it? They'll say, sure. Then you ask the question, will they work? And a lot of people say, no. You ask the question, how big a priority should this be? And the answer is not much of one. It seems to me like most Americans' attitudes, non-gun-owning Americans' attitudes are, yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great if we could all have a pony too. But it's not going to happen. So, let's concentrate on what will actually work rather than trying to get rid of all 300 million guns in this country, which is what you need to do in order to actually have effective gun control.
No, in order to have effective gun control, Cam, not only would you have to remove the guns from 300 million Americans, you need a time machine. You need to go back in time and thwart the invention of gunpowder and the gun in all modern weapons. Then you can have real gun control. We're never going to uninvent guns, and this is nothing but a distraction, I believe. I mean, I do believe, because I used to be like the president, I used to think like him, I do, and I used to believe that we should disarm every American. And I know that that's politically or philosophically, that's what he believes. But I think a big part of this is it's a distracting issue. People are getting upset. I just can't imagine, that anyone, Democrat or Republican, believes that a lot of this stuff will be supported by the Supreme Court. What's really at issue is the country's dying. The country is failing, and it's because of Obama and his policies. And there's a lot of scary stuff going on in the world right now with regards to how our administration is handling business. And this is a distracting issue because people do, like you say, a lot of people are in support of owning handguns and guns, So people do get panicked when they hear our leaders talking like this. And it does become a subject of discussion. And then we're not talking about why it is that I've got $40 less in my paycheck this week, why it is gas just jumped 30 cents all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. Why it is I can't see my doctor whenever I want to see him now when I thought healthcare was supposed to get better. It's all a distraction.
Talking with Kira Davis from KiraDavis.net. And, Kira, to that end, I assume people would now, having heard you say that, be horrified. And, Kira, how can you say that violence is a distraction and that we deserve a vote and everybody deserves a vote? I mean, look, these are very emotional appeals. Very short on facts, very short on data. It basically is, if you don't support us, then you are going to be a horrible, rotten person. And we're going to call you a horrible, rotten person who doesn't care about kids. Is that really like where this debate is gotten to?
Well, that's what the Democrats and liberals in Washington do. That's how they win so much. All of their arguments are based on emotion and not anything on logic or positing out what's going, the consequences of our actions. So, that's why Obama won again. That's why we struggle so hard in the conservative movement that I work so hard for, that's why we struggle, because we spend a lot of time appealing to people's intelligence and logic, but it's emotion that really drives people. It's emotion that, pulls people's attention. So, obviously it's a game that they're going to continue to play, but I like to remind them that I'm interested in safety too. I'm concerned about safety too. I don't want another Sandy Hook. Of course not. What kind of decent human being would? I just don't think that the solution is disarming every American. Furthermore, I don't think it's a ridiculous solution to say arm our teachers who are willing and trained to do it. Like, that's more compassionate than saying, well, no, let's just leave our kids vulnerable and we'll let the politicians argue it out, until they can get some kind of comprehensive gun ban in place. And then all the criminals will know better than to open fire on innocent children. No, let's really be compassionate and arm our citizens to protect themselves when danger comes, instead of depend on a government and a police system and an emergency system that is gridlocked 80% of the time.
Kira Davis, thank you so much for coming on the program today. It's great talking to you. And next time you come on, you got to tell us how you went from siding with the president on gun control to where you are now. All right. Will you do that?
I will.
All right.
I will.
Hey, Kira, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Cam. You too. Bye-bye.